I noticed that two of my principal critics, John Hoops from the University of Kansas and Flint Dibble, who's now teaching at the University of Cardiff in Wales in the UK, are both people who like to have media exposure. And John Hoops has just recently started a YouTube channel. Flint Dibble has had one for quite a while, pretty small number of followers. I think that they feel that they should be the ones who are getting the global attention, and that it's not right that I am, and that the best way to stop that is to stop me, to shut me down, to get me cancelled, and basically requiring Netflix to relabel my series from a documentary to a science fiction, which is what they actually had the temerity to suggest to Netflix. That would, if that had gone through, if Netflix had listened to them, that would have effectively been the cancellation of my documentary series. It would no longer have been ranked under documentary. So it was a deliberate attempt to shut me down, and I see that going on again and again, and it's so unfortunate and so unnecessary. I've become very defensive towards archaeology. I hit back after 30 years of these attacks on my work. I'm tired of it, and I do defend myself, and sometimes I'm perhaps over vigorous in that defense. Maybe I was a little bit too strong in my critique of archaeology in the first season of Ancient Apocalypse. Maybe I should have been a bit gentler and a bit kinder, and I've tried to reflect that in the second season, and to bring also many more indigenous voices into the second season, as well as the voices of many more archaeologists.
Yeah, in general, I got a chance to get a glimpse of the archaeology community, and in archaeology, in science in general, I don't have much patience for this kind of arrogance or snark or dismissal of general human curiosity that I think your work inspires in people. And so that's why people like Ed Barnhart, who I recently had a conversation with, he radiates sort of kindness and curiosity as well. And it's like that kind of approach to ideas, especially about human history, it inspires people. Exactly. It inspires millions of people to ask questions.
Exactly.
I mean, that's why you had Keanu Reeves on the new season. He's basically coming to the show from that same perspective of curiosity.
Keanu is genuinely curious about the past and very, very interested in it, and he's bringing to it questions that everybody brings to the past. He's speaking for every man in the series.
So, given that, can you maybe steelman the case that archaeologists make about this period that we've been talking about? Can you make the case that is indeed what happened? Is it was hunter-gatherers for a long time?
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a cataclysm, a very difficult period in human history with the Young Dryas, and that changed the environment and then led to the springing up of civilizations at different places on Earth. Mm-hmm. Can you sort of make the case for that?
Oh, no, I completely understand why that is the position of archaeology, because that's what they've found. Archaeology is very much wishing to define itself as a science. And it uses the techniques of weighing and measuring and counting are very key to what archaeology does. And in what they've found and what they've studied around the world, they don't see any traces of a lost civilization. And the idea that besides, we live in a very politically correct world today, and the idea that some kind of lost civilization brought knowledge to other cultures around the world is seen as almost racist or colonialist in some way. It triggers that aspect as well. But basically, I think majority of archaeologists are in complete good faith on this. I don't think that anybody's really seeking to frame me. I think that what we're hearing from most archaeologists, some much more vicious than others, but what we're hearing from most archaeologists is this is what we found, and we don't see evidence for a lost civilization in it. And to that, I must reply, please look at the myths. Please consider the implications of the Younger Dryas. Please look at the ancient astronomy. Please look at those ancient maps and don't just dismiss them and sneer at them. And for God's sake, please look more deeply at the parts of the world that were immensely habitable and attractive during the Ice Age and that have hardly been studied by archaeology at all, before you tell us that your theory is the only one that can possibly be correct. In fact, it's a very arrogant and silly position of archaeology, because archaeological theories are always being overthrown. It can take years. It can take decades. It took decades in the case of the Clovis First hypothesis for the settlement of the Americas. But sooner or later, a bad idea will be kicked out by a preponderance of evidence that that idea does not explain.